Hi guys, and welcome to this weekly update video. Obviously I didn't make one last week, so apologies for that. So hopefully I can make up with it this week, and I'm not just going to go through the majors. I'm going to go through some currency pairs that I'm actually watching, and ones that I think you should keep your eye on as well. Just because I didn't make last week, so I thought I'd make it a little bit better. This might be a little bit longer than the usual video as well. I do apologise, but hopefully it gives you a little bit of a watch list that you can use going forward. So what do we have now? Always start on the dollar index. We always look at how the week has gone on the dollar index, and again, we are no closer to finding out what's going to happen here. We're still hovering around that $95 level. If I just go down to the daily chart, you can see we had some buyers come back into the market this week as well, and then a bit of a stale day on Friday, nothing really happening. Now, obviously, there is still this potential breakout that could occur if prices do move out of this $95 level and get above 95.70s, 95.60s. Then we're definitely going to see some more dollar strength come back into the market. Now, it's could potentially happen this week because we have a Fed interest rate decision this week, and if they're pretty hawkish in their statement, then potentially we could see the dollar break out into the upside. We also have non-farm payroll this week as well, where we could see some potential upside. Now, I don't know what the projected numbers are for that, because I don't like to speculate on what's forecast already, because things can be revised and things like that. But what I would say is I'd probably be watching Trump's tweets around kind of later in the week, because sometimes he can reveal what's going on, especially if the jobs number is going to be good. He will always comment on it because of he's a bit of an egotistical kind of guy, isn't he? So he's always going to comment on those things. So again, I'm just going to take you through the majors, and we're going to see what's going to happen. So we could potentially see a breakout either way. I think it's very important for us just to kind of sit on the sidelines, wait for the action to happen, and then we get onto the back of things. So this week could be one for our kind of index markets, our kind of stock markets, and potentially the cross pairs this week, rather than trading many dollar-based markets. Now, also this week to note, we've got a Bank of Japan interest rate decision. We have a pound interest rate, Bank of England pound interest rate decision as well. I think that's going to be really important, because last time we saw the members vote change slightly for a potential rate hike in August. So that's going to be really interesting this week. So maybe stay away from the pound. I'm going to have a little look at the pound pairs, just to kind of give us a little look at what could happen. But again, pound could be very volatile this week. So just moving down to the pound, we are struggling to break any of this 1.3 key level on the pound. We're still sort of hovering at this level. If I just go down to the daily chart, we are squeezing now into this area. Now, is price going to continue in this sort of ascending, descending triangle sort of pattern? That is something that we need to take into consideration. Okay, so I think right now the price action is kind of lining up for maybe a double bottom at this 1.3, and if buyers come back into the market, we could see the kind of upper trend lines tested again. So we're still in that phase 2 environment, potentially the startings of a phase 1 again here, but we're kind of in that environment where we're really close to support. So if you're going to do any kind of intraday trading this week, I still think one-to-ones are a good idea. Moving down to Euro US dollar, because I am conscious of the time on the video. Euro's still in this space in here. I'd like to see some kind of breakdown in any sort of way, or any kind of direction provided. So we've got this kind of consolidation pattern that we're keeping our eye on. We've got previous highs here at this 1.1750. So if we can get above those, then we know that the dollar's sinking a little bit lower, and we can try and trade this up into that 1.2 key level up there. If we break lower, then I'd expect the lows here around 1.15 to be broken, and then we've got our environment to trade lower again. Right now, it's a little bit tricky to tell what we are actually going to be doing at this point, because you can see the price action is very whipsawy. There's no real direction. It's quite hard to distinguish. Aussie US dollar, I thought it was going to potentially break out. I'm just waiting for this consolidation to be broken. I don't think there's anything to kind of force through here. We thought strength was coming back into the market, and we were approaching this resistance, previous structure lows again. Came a little bit short, kind of tested these lows over here before seeing a bearish sell-off with some bad CPI data last week. So again, it's how we're going to take control of this market, and I think breakout either way is something to be aware of. New Zealand US dollar was looking for buys last week into this resistance. Didn't manage to get my buy orders in, and again we saw a sell-off as the US strength came back into the market. All a waiting game, definitely all a waiting game with these majors. These two areas are critical to our trading decisions. If we get above this 0.6850 area through here, we have a lot of room to the upside, potentially back into the sevens. If we come back down into here, we've got potential bounce. If we break through this 0.6700 area, then we could see continuation to the downside. So if there's too many options to kind of pick a market, then sometimes it can be best just to stay away from that market and not get dragged into it. Okay. Dollar CAD, we have actually got a bit of a double inside day here. That's quite bearish in my opinion, and we could see a breakout either way. So I still like the idea of CAD strength coming into the market. So I like the idea of a potential breakdown in the market. So keep your eyes on CAD. We could see it come and retest these sorts of levels in here and previous structure lows where it's kind of testing before. Just jump down to a 4 hour. We could be seeing that trend situation set up again with potentials going down to this 1.28, especially if that dollar weakness does follow through, which would be a big help in this case. We'll jump into the weekly chart. We are technically just surpassing previous lows just in there. It's a very tight move, so you could consider maybe that the low point is all the way down here. So trading environment short could be a little bit difficult right now, but I like the way the daily has kind of formed. I'd just like to see a little bit of follow through now, and we can take some shorts just through here. Again, be super cautious with that. One-to-ones is fine. Don't try and outstretch and try and go for the big home run with these, especially in this trading environment, summer environment as well. A lot of the big players are not in the market, so just be aware of those things coming into August. So dollar Swiss, some Swissy strength come back into the market as well over kind of like the last few hours of the session. So we could see some potential downside. We're still in this wedge sort of pattern. So again, unless it takes out this low, I'm not going to be interested in this market. If it comes back up into the 1.05s, then I'll be interested. But right now, it's nothing that we can really take advantage of, in my opinion. Dollar yen is stalling at the previous structure high, so we could see some potential upside in here. But I'm just waiting. I'm being a little bit patient. I want to see some yen strength really enter the market now. If we take out this 110, 60 lows just in here, then we've got some decent room to the downside. If we just go to the daily chart, we've got some decent moves to the downside, so we could see some intraday shorts coming in through there. Obviously the structure point at the minute looks to be moving higher. We're below our moving averages, which is kind of making me consider the potential for a move lower, although it has done it previously in the past before moving higher. I'd like to see some more decision again in the markets, and I think that's the common trait that we have across these current markets. Swiss yen, so I was calling for shorts on Swiss yen last week. I didn't manage to get in at the highs the week prior, but it has moved down nicely in this kind of 4 hour trend. I wanted to see this low break, and it did. It came back, retested twice. I didn't see my option to trade at that time, even though if we had just one-to-one from there down to here, then we would have easily made our money just in here. Nice 20, close below the 20 moving average, stops above the highs, Even if we went for 30 pip stop, we've got that 30-point target easily hit there. So things like that is just what we should be looking to trade. Weekly, I still feel could break lower, especially the way the pattern's kind of forming. It's just struggling at the moment. If we get any kind of lower high here on a daily chart, we could see prices pushing back into this 112.20 before seeing a lower high and then moving lower again. So something to be aware of there. Gold is just stumbling at the moment. We've had a lovely downtrend on gold. I'd love to see this market push higher, especially if we look at our weekly chart. We've moved a long way, so I'm not really interested in selling unless we get below this 112 area, $1,200 level. That's when I'd be interested in selling. But look how far we've moved from the 20 moving average. And these markets can snap back quite quickly once they're away from the mean. And that's what I'll be looking for with the likes of gold. If it can just snap through, then we could be seeing some decent upside in gold. Going to oil, I don't usually, oil's not really been on my radar for a while, because of the price action that's been happening. But if we see CAD strength come back into the market, this week finishes an inside bullish candle. If we see breaks to the upside, we could see the market moving towards back into this kind of like $72, $73 area, maybe 75s. If we do go back into those highs, then we could see sellers re-step into the market. Looking at our real high time frames, the monthly chart has come into these previous structural lows, and we could see some sellers re-enter the market at this point. So this is one to be aware of, and it doesn't go in favour with our CAD strength, but I'd like to see some more bearish price action before I even consider shorts in the oil market. Aussie Swiss is on my radar to go long, but price action is not really helping me out with this one. It's very choppy. The only reason I'll get long is if we take out this high in here, or end up coming back down into these kind of structural lows just through here, where price bounced prior. That's the only way I'd look to get long in this market. If it does take out those highs, then great. We could look for potential upside. Just going to the 4-hour chart. Nothing really here on the 4-hour either. We could look for potential breaks of trend lines, but I don't think it's going to really provide you with what you want to see. Could take out structure highs before a pullback and then trade into resistance just up there, but that's going to be completely up to you. So, New Zealand Swiss. New Zealand Swiss also on my radar to go long. So this kind of looking at the Swissy weakness. Now I was looking at this last week for a potential long on the 4-hour chart, but it didn't kind of cement what I was looking to do. So I'll just kind of point you through what I was looking at. The market was ranging typically between this point up here and these lows just down in here, and I thought the market would potentially make its way up into this structure high in here, and we created the higher high just through here where the market kind of bounced through, and then we were getting some kind of retracement candle. So I had a trend line on here. I didn't see this bearish candle at the time, of course, otherwise I wouldn't have been looking for it, and I thought we were just going to stop and stall and maybe see some buyers really step into the market and kind of retest this area if we were going to see some more downside. So I was looking for the counter trend line break. We didn't get it. The market has subsequently fallen away, and it doesn't really look great for us at the moment on New Zealand Swiss. So again, it's going to be a little bit of a patience game. I think a break above this structure high in here will lead you to further upside in this market. I mean, if we look at the daily chart, we are consolidating. Is this a little bit of a bullish pattern, where the market's just trying to find its feet and then we see some momentum to the upside? So we could be looking for things like that on this chart in particular. Pound Aussie, I like this chart. I do like this chart. It just depends on what's going to happen with the pound this week and the interest rate decision. But we've got these kind of points just through here. that I like a lot. So we've broken this kind of range. We're now retesting this range. If I go to the 4-hour chart, we've got some nice price action here, some kind of like a triple top pattern forming. If I just grab a trend line as well and just do this, we've broken out of this counter trend line. Could we, if I just go to the weekly chart, I know I'm rushing through these guys, but I'm conscious of time. If we look at this level through here, we could, on the weekly chart, see those prices retested again where buyers really stepped into the market. So could we look for some kind of 4-hour change in cyclicity, whether it come through, at these lows in here, and then look to, get our one-to-one trade just through there in case buyers really step back into the market again at this level around 1.7600s. Pound CAD, it was on my list of short, didn't give me the pullback I was looking for. I even looked at a 15-minute chart on this one around this area, but it was a lot of buyers and sellers were kind of fighting each other in this area, and it just made price action a little bit confusing. But just go to the 15-minute chart. What I looked at essentially was a breakout of these lows, and I was looking for the market to kind of retest these two areas, so the previous structure low and this kind of major low in there. But the market shot straight through, kind of gave us a double top, then broke through that low and then retested it and then moved, and there's just a lot of action going on in this area, and it was very hard to call at this point. Even though the higher time frames were still telling me to go short, I didn't like the way the price action was whipsawing at that point. So I didn't get in, unfortunately. It would have been a good trade and followed the plan all the way through. But now we're at this key support area. So what's going to happen now? Are we going to break or are we going to bounce? And this is the key importance. If we break, then we've got further downside definitely to look for on this pair. So just be aware of where we are with pound CAD at the current moment in time. Going now to our indexes, S&P. So I actually had an S&P long, and I'm just going to show you that. I've cancelled it now, but what I was looking at was this essentially. If I just put in my weekly level, so this was all-time highs. Okay, this in here was all-time highs. What I saw was a uptrend. The market is kind of making this weekly uptrend. So I expect the market to go and retest this all-time high in here on the S&P. So what I looked at on the daily chart was that the market broke through previous structure highs and then created this little bearish inside candle. Now, I like inside candles a lot because they can prove that there's going to be a very shallow retracement, or it can kind of show that the momentum's still with the buyers of the market, or if you saw it on a sellers in a seller's market, you could see potential further downside, kind of like this inside candle here. It's bullish, but you see the breakout of it's quite significant, and that's the same with like bearish inside candles in an uptrend. Usually the breakout's quite significant. So I actually had an order just resting above the highs in here with my stop below the inside candle, looking for that one-to-one push into that 2870 all-time highs, but didn't pull off. We saw some sellers come back into the market. I think we saw some bad data that was expected to be good out of the US. Might have been GDP data, really affect the S&P, although we are now back into previous structure highs. So any kind of bullish momentum here, we could start to see the buyers come back into the market and take it to this level again. So I'm still bullish on this pair, on this index, until we kind of take out previous structure lows. So I'm still kind of bullish right now on this market. Same with the Dow, the US 30. We broke out of this real key level on the Dow, and now all I see is pretty much upside up into the 2660s. How are we going to trade it? Well, we've got to wait for a couple of things to happen. If we get a nice little bit of consolidation in here, we could look for a counter trend line break, any kind of bullish price action now because we're at this previous support level, or if it can hang on a 20 moving average runs through and we get a close above, we could look for further upside from this level. German 30 or the DAX, I like this a lot as well. We broke out of this key level in here, you know, where we were kind of holding at these highs. We saw a lot of sellers come back into the market. That was quickly recovered. We've now broken out of those highs. So are we going to see a little bit of a pullback before seeing further upside again in this market? I like that we're above these previous structure highs and this support level. If I just go down to a 4-hour chart, I know the drawing's a little bit messy, so I do apologise for that. Let me just try and get rid of a couple of them. Then we could see continued upside, you know, again, very similar to what I was talking about, just previous structure highs makes a good support level. We've got the 20 moving average running through there. We could see some buyers re-enter the market. You know, even if we only look for those one-to-one trades in this market, just to be a little bit safer, targeting previous structure highs, that could be something that you look for as well. Okay, so I've rushed through that video a little bit, guys, but I hope this really helps, and I hope you can take a lot from it. If you have any questions, just comment down below in the video description, below the video description on YouTube. Just comment in below and we'll get back to you. Okay, so have a great weekend, the rest of your weekend, guys, and I'll catch you later.